There is a place for that longer form and more technical content. You just got to make sure that one, it aligns with the audience, and two, that the juice is worth the squeeze.
And next question, how does content play into B2B SEO for complex sales?
Well, this is similar to what we talked about, prior when looking at the entire buyer's journey, right? So when we're looking at B2B SEO, complex sales, it's going to come down to really identifying what the different pain points are that our audience is having, that our solution, whatever that solution is, solves, right? And so you start very top of funnel with just pain points, right? It could be pain points that don't even have an obvious solution, or that, the idea here is that the audience has a pain point. It could be someone in manufacturing that is using spreadsheets to quote out their manufacturing jobs, right? And so they are going online and they're looking for, hey, I need a template for something because I've got an issue with how this is being quoted. So getting very top of funnel to understanding that pain point, and then providing some answers that speak directly to that, but then also presenting, hey, there are software solutions that do this as well, right? So you're starting to lead them down the funnel. And then, like we talked about before, then you've got your comparisons. Okay, well, what are the different software solutions and technology solutions out here versus maybe what are the time savings, right? What are the actual benefits? Well, pros versus cons. You got to learn a new software. Okay, but what is actually going to come from learning that new software? And, when do you see the payoff? What are the benefits? All the way down to, hey, here's specific software solutions that solve A, B, and C problems. So really aligning that content with the audience and the pain points they're having, taking them all the way down from very broad, making them aware, all the way down to, hey, now here's the solution.
As they kind of go through that funnel, a lot of B2B companies will have things like technical content or case studies or white papers. Kind of how should they focus and structure that along with their SEO strategy?
I think it goes back to the audience, right? So white papers might be right for if you've got engineers or one of your main personas, or you've got technical people on the client side that are trying to solve technical problems and are put in charge of researching those solutions, right? That they're going to do that in-depth research, right? But it ultimately goes back to who that audience is, right? If it's operations director or something like that, then you probably don't want to try to have some lengthy white paper to target that specific persona, because they're not going to read it, right? So you're better off doing a blog, or maybe a slide deck that's going to give you the overview. So there is a place for that longer form and more technical content. You just got to make sure that one, it aligns with the audience, and two, that the juice is worth the squeeze, because there's investment that needs to go into that type of content, and you want to make sure that if you're doing it, make sure it's aligned, and then test it and make sure it's worth the investment. What you don't want to do is, and I've seen before, is where people are like, well, we're just going to do white papers, right? We think that long form is the way to go, and we're going to focus really on white papers and double down. It can be a misstep, because it's not right. It's not right for every company, and certainly not every audience.
And so taking that, we'll go into the next question, but taking that B2B buying and customer journey and focusing more on lead gen, what are, from your experience, what are the best practices for lead generation via SEO? So how do we leverage SEO to target high quality leads for our sales team? What role do landing pages, call to actions, that sort of thing, gated content play in this process?
Well, assuming that we've built out our top and middle of funnel, right? We should be at a spot where we're generating enough traffic that then we can convert this with our bottom of funnel pages. And you mentioned landing pages, you mentioned conversion. I think maybe conversion rate optimization, right? So these things do play a big role. At the point where you're starting to generate that traffic and you have that authority, right? We can have hyper targeted landing pages. So the obvious things are like your solution pages, right? Your service pages, even B2B product pages, right? But then you can go farther and create landing pages that really get in deeper into specific aspects of a solution that's a pain point. So you might have a software that solves A, B, C, and D problems. And if those problems are big enough, you could create landing pages for those specific issues and try to capture the audiences that are searching to solve that particular problem, right? Not someone who's looking for an all-in-one suite, but if those problems are big enough, then you can even go a step further and say, hey, these are solutions to these specific problems, even though it really is just one piece of software. And then certainly that the user experience on those pages, I mean, we're getting a beyond SEO strong crossover, but the user experience is really important, right? These are people that typically, when they're at the bottom of the funnel, when they're at that conversion point, they've done their research or they're knowledgeable enough to make those decisions. So these pages need to have a fluid user experience, right? It's always good to have a mixture of media on there between video and pictures, bullet points, those kinds of things. Make the information easy to consume, and those call to actions are critical. There's a case for having it, multiple call to actions throughout the page, and things like conversion rate optimization. If you've got a sufficient amount of traffic, can make a really big difference in terms of generating those leads.